huge round of applause for Ashley Herman.
It was the summer of 2006, and Justin Timberlake's Bringin' Sexy Back was at the top of all the radio charts. It was also playing over the speakers at State Line Showgirls on a Thursday night. The DJ announces, making her way up to the stage next, folks, is our very own girl next door, Natalie. This is my cue to make my entrance. Wearing a turquoise bikini with gold sequin trim, wearing 6-inch platform shoes with stilettos, I made my way up the 3 rickety steps onto the stage and twirled my way around the pole. I'm still a fledgling stripper at this time, not even 6 months into slinging my clothes off for strangers. And there I am, hiding in plain sight, not a stitch of clothing on me, pretending I'm someone who doesn't have issues with her body. It all started in sex ed in school. We were presented with these textbooks of the male and the female anatomy, and here in the textbook is the external female anatomy. We have the labia majora, they're very strong and assertive. And then the labia minora, they're this delicate whisper, a little petticoat underneath. And I look at the picture, and I think about myself, and I think, this doesn't look anything like me. Maybe this isn't right. I didn't let it get me down the first time. Textbooks were not the most reliable source of information. But as I continued with sex ed and the textbook images continued to be the exact same, I started to wonder, well, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not normal down there. And there was never any dialogue from any of my girlfriends of like, hey, what's your vulva look like? This is what's going on with my vulva. There was no conversation like that with any of my girlfriends. We were all still preoccupied with acknowledging that we even had bodies. And so then I start experimenting sexually as a teenager, and I'm still deeply uncomfortable with everything below my belly button. So I decide any kind of sexual engagement that I have will be strictly no looking. We can touch, but we cannot look. The lights will be off, there will be a blanket over, there will never be visual confirmation of exactly what is happening down here. Because my fear was that word would get out that Ashley's got a fucked up pussy. And I'd already heard the rumors about the girl with red pubes being called fire crotch around school, so I was not about to have that kind of crotchal notoriety. So this is how my life continues. I make my way into college. I date a guy. We're still very, you can touch, but you can't look. And I find myself for the first time in a strip club. My sophomore year of school, I went to a very small college town in northern Idaho. There aren't any major airports. The closest airport was 3 hours away, and I had to pick my boyfriend up. He'd flown home to visit family. And as a thank you, he took me to my first strip club experience at State Line Showgirls in State Line, Idaho, which is just as small as you would think it is from the sound of it. The biggest attraction of the city is in the name. It is on the state line of Idaho and Washington. So I arrive at the club, and this is my first time ever seeing actual live nude bodies. I've seen porn on TV, or not on TV, on computer screen before. Well, and on TV, let's not lie. But that was all very pre-packaged. It's supposed to look a very specific way with the, it's pre-packaged, it's not real. This is my first time seeing real naked bodies, and it's awesome, because there are women on this stage that have cellulite, and they have stretch marks, and they have really tight little butts and six-pack abs and these big unapologetic hips that bounce when they walk, and their tummies folded over when they bent over to motorboat customers on the stage. And I had never seen so much just flesh. I loved it, because all these women are up there naked, having money hurled at them by strangers while they take their clothes off, and I'm thinking, this is badass. I want a lap dance. So I pick the dancer. She's tall, she's got large breasts, short, dark A-line haircut. Her stage name is Vixen. She became my first cat sitter years later, but at this point, She was a stranger to me, and she was my first lap dance. So Vixen took me away from the main stage over to the side couch, took all of her clothes off, and gave me my first lap dance. It was 2 thumbs up. After the dance, though, was even better because I got to pick her brain and ask her, is this really what this is all about? You go on stage, you take your clothes off, you get the cash, and you go home. She says, more or less, yeah. So I decided, I want to do this. And in my head at the time, I'm thinking, I'm in college, I got no money, I could use the extra income. But I wanted even more than that. I really wanted to be commanding the way that I saw these dancers being. So I went out to the local sex shop. I found myself a pair of heels, bought some outfits. I get myself totally decked out. I set up an audition, and I'm driving up to the club from my college town and realize, shit, dum-dum, you're gonna go audition to be a stripper. Strippers get naked. Nobody sees you from the waist below naked. What are you gonna do about this? I decide not to let that detail hang me up. And I still go in for the audition regardless. I'm assuming it'll all be fine. And I somehow make my way through the audition without getting naked. This is a testament to the quality or lack thereof. I get hired somehow, and I'm told to come back the following Friday for night shift. And I show up for my shift with my little nervous bag and my new girl smile, and the night shift manager, James, tells me in no uncertain terms, I must get completely naked every time I go on stage. The sign out front says live nude entertainment, and we will not be made to be liars. Those are my stakes. I can either take all my clothes off or I can go home. I go on stage. I have 2 songs, mind you, on stage. So the first song, I take my top off, I'm shaking it around. My nipples are common currency at this point. Who hasn't seen them? The second song starts. And now shit's getting real. I gotta take off my bottoms. So I let a few seconds of the song play out. I'm still doing my signature Elvis leg move because I don't know how the fuck to dance yet. And 60 seconds goes by, and I know the time's running out, and I gotta get this thong off. And if you've ever tried to take a thong off in 6-inch stiletto heels with poise and control, it takes some practice, and I had none. So I'm standing next to the pole, but I can't hold on to it because I need both hands on deck for removing my thong. So I'm squeezing the thong down the sides of my thighs while also squeezing my knees together because my labia might burst out and give this whole thing up. And so I'm rolling my thong down, and by the time it gets down to my ankles, it's about 2 inches in diameter. And I delicately step out 1 foot at a time, and I have succeeded. I have not fallen on my face. I am completely nude on stage, and no one has booed me off. After that pivotal moment, I'm saved by the bell of the DJ announcing, my time is up, time for the next dancer to take her stage. I gather up my panties, and I hustle out. And that's how the first few months went. I just kind of bullshitted my way through. When it came time to be naked, I just, real quickly, nobody needs to look here. But I kept watching the other dancers, and I saw some really, really badass pole tricks that I just had to try. The problem with pole tricks is not very many of them involve keeping your legs together. There's a lot of flying fan kicks, and you just have to put all of it out there. And when you're not wearing very much clothing, it's all out there. But that was okay to me because if I was doing these amazing pole tricks, I had this distraction, this sleight of hand to distract all of the men up at the rack of what might be going on down here. And so I keep dancing. The months turn into years, and I start to notice a pattern that the dancer who's making the most money every night is not the prettiest. She's also not the best dancer. She's got like 2 moves. She's not the most creative dresser. She's got 1 outfit and a big old black cowboy hat that she put over her hair every night. For Rose, it wasn't about her appearance. The reason the men threw every last dollar at her is because when she sat down next to them, she made them feel like the only person in that room. And that was irresistible, time and again. And when I made this realization, it wasn't an immediate change in my body of, I'm gonna go out on stage, labia's blasting, and that's gonna be my centerpiece of my performance. It was more this subtle shift of, one time I went on stage and I really did just do a fan casually, completely naked in front of a stranger at eye level, and it wasn't the worst thing in the world. And then from there, it kept going to where I didn't even feel like I had to do anything special to my vulva to prepare to be naked on stage. It was fine, just the way it was. And that's when I made the realization that my sexiness was not hinged on any conditional part of my body. It wasn't part of my labia, it wasn't part of my breasts or anything physical. The real key to my sexiness was in the demonstration of myself through my actions.